everybody, and welcome to Hold Up, the show where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out to see if they hold up. I'm Hold Up with Andrew on the Insert Your Sponsorship Here hotline, and welcome back, Kyle, new Daddy Kyle, to the show. Hi,
Daddy Kyle. Nothing's really changed much. He's always been a daddy.
I've always been your daddy. In fact, I've been called Zaddy before, so you'll address me as that going forward.
Well, I'm glad you added the Z, because we added the Z in the movie that we watched this week. We watched Antz, didn't we, Andrew?
Antz.
Is how you pronounce it with his buzz, soft buzz.
How you pronounce it? Yep.
Yeah, how do you pronounce it again?
Antz.
Antz.
Is it long
Just
Z?
like that.
Yeah, long
Yeah,
Z.
yeah, yeah.
Gotcha.
Lengthy. Yeah.
Well, Kyle,
Really got to use your tongue in that pronunciation. So if you're good with your tongue, then use it.
Okay, this is a children's show. We can't have that kind of nonsense there. But before we get started, Kyle, you're a new father. Would you explain your energy level for me today using daddy terms?
Yeah, it's like when you're about to go to sleep and you're trying to get your child to sleep as well, and you're just having a lovely little moment, and all of a sudden you hear a really loud wet fart, and something's happened, and you look at your arm, and the shirt that you were wearing is now stained brown because the liquid poop has made its way out of the diaper and through the 2 layers of clothes on your newborn onto you. So you change the diaper and you get settled into swaddle, and then 5 minutes later you hear a wet fart, and you look at the new shirt you just put on, and it's now soiled with another brown wet mess. So you go and change the diaper again, put on the swaddle, and you go lay down with your daughter, and then 5 minutes later there's another wet fart that stains the shirt that you're wearing, the new one that you put on, to then go do that all within 15 minutes before you even go put your head down to sleep. And as soon as you lay your child down, they start crying. There you go.
Wow.
That was detailed.
I felt like I was on a journey.
I'm changed. Like, my life is dramatically different now that I've heard that. So
yeah, I can look in different times and different spaces now. It's crazy that how that opened up my cerebral cortex. Wow.
Yeah. He changed the space-time continuum with that little
It blew me away.
monologue there. Yeah.
Like a Stanley Kubrick film.
You wouldn't know what a space-time continuum is because you're very, very dumb and dunce-like.
Thank you for correcting me and putting me in my place.
Well, Kyle, I do have to tell you, while you were gone, we tried this trick with some of our guests. Derek failed miserably.
It was so bad. He was a great guest, but in that moment, he failed miserably. And he'll admit that.
Yeah, he did on the show, but it was one of the worst improvised moments I've seen from him. He's such a quality improv comic, too.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the moment was just a little too big for him, which, again, that's surprising to me because he's a very confident, talented fella. I don't know. Go back and listen to it, Kyle. Yes, he did. Tyler crushed it.
So thanks, Derek. Thanks, Tyler, for holding down the fort while Kyle was gone. I'm sure Kyle is very
thankful. Have to reconsider our partnership with Derek, actually, because of that. We didn't tell him that on the phone when we were speaking with him, but I'm putting it out there now. We may have to reconsider. That's how damaging it was.
Moving on, we may have a new sponsor for your hotline, Tay. They're listening to us in Kirkland, Washington. You know what that means.
Yeah, that's Costco. Costco, Kirkland Signature. They are our new sponsor. We got a little notice in the mail last week. I couldn't be more thrilled about it because that's such a great, recognizable brand, and you pair it with this great, recognizable podcast. That's a match made in heaven. So very proud, and
it would be a no-brainer.
We're running with it. Yeah.
The Kirkland Signature Wine Series. Go get you some today. Drink. It's a nice day. Take some outside.
In fact, what we want you to do here at the Hold Up Podcast is go to your local Costco after purchasing a membership. Go get one or two of those bottles, maybe a white and a red wine, and purchase them, and then go up to the snack bar and get a foot-long piece of pizza and a hot dog, and crack open one of those bottles of wine and begin drinking it from the bottle, straight from the mouth. And we want you to go ahead and finish one of those bottles, and then eat your food, and then drink the second bottle, and then drive home.
Yeah, make sure you drive. Put some into the go-kart.
We're not recommending that you drive home, by the way. We just want you to drive home.
Yeah.
You can drive home in multiple different ways. You can drive home in your mind. You can drive home using euphemisms. You can drive home with a golf club and drive home, if you understand what I mean. Don't be an idiot. That's not what we're doing. We're not telling you to drink and drive. If you're stupid enough to do that, and you're
Kyle or Chase, if you're using that driver, what driver would that be?
It'd be TaylorMade.
I mean, it's fine.
TaylorMade, always a TaylorMade driver.
Yeah, don't forget they're still there. TaylorMade and Blue Chew, never going away.
I'll be using a Callaway because I have real class. So
ooh, careful! We'll have to cut that.
We might have to cut that because TaylorMade people will not be happy to hear about a competitor being mentioned in a positive light. Blue Chew, however, I think we can say goodbye to them. They haven't responded to us. They haven't given us the money they promised. And frankly, the fruits of that partnership seem to be dissipating rather quickly. Right. So I think we can say goodbye to Blue Chew. Hello, Kirkland Signature, and of course, TaylorMade, still there by our side, as always.
As always.
I'm just going to go ahead and just put this out there because I know that we have not officially spoken with them yet, but we all know that they'd be on board. But the fine men and women over at Zyn would love to sponsor this podcast, and we would love to be a part of it. And also want to get the children involved in our message. So we do think that Zyn would be a good way to, while not endorsing that children use it, we do think here at the Hold Up Podcast that Zyn would be a very good way to get a message out using our whimsical podcast to get the message out that you just get off cigarettes, get off chew, get off dip, get on Zyn.
Zyn, and I also think Lockheed Martin would make logistical sense, but we can tackle that at a different time.
We've got enough sponsors to deal with right now that are not sending us money. So movie.
Keep it in the pocket. We'll pull it out at a later date.
Yeah, we'll go with that at a different date. But we want to thank everybody in Kirkland, Washington, Buffalo, Minnesota. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Frankfurt, Germany, Tottenham, outside of London. Love that. Go Hotspur, right?
I'm going to go ahead and say that it's just a cock, It's just a
Go
it's
Cox.
A hot cock.
Speaking of Cox, they are also listening to us in Columbia, South Carolina, where home of the Cox. They're listening to us in Lexington, Kentucky. Andrew, your homeland over there.
It's just Andrew.
It's just Andrew.
It's just me, yeah.
And welcome to the show, South Korea. Several locations in South Korea, actually. We love our listeners all over the world. Keep expanding. Keep telling other people about our show so we can keep it free. Hopefully we grab that Kirkland sponsor too. So the Kirkland people, if you're listening, let's dot those lines.
It only makes sense. It's a no-brainer from our point of view. So
speaking of no-brainer, so again, we watched Antz. This has got a little backstory to it, which we'll dive into in just a moment. But Kyle, you go first. What did this movie mean to you as a child? I know you saw it as a kid.
Well, this is one of those movies that they let us watch. Some kid had brought it into school on one of those days of the year. I think this was like when the teachers were like, fuck, I don't have anything left to talk about, and we just need to get these kids to shut up. So I think it was like around Christmas or Easter that somebody put this on. And I remember watching this, and I didn't think it was, I was enamored by like the idea of like the imaginative world of ants and like the miniature scale and how they would view human things and all that kind of stuff. But the humor was lost on me. I didn't understand what erotic meant. I didn't know that was, oh boy is right. I didn't know that there was a whole like overarching theme that was very, I'm definitely not going to call it well done, but it was a theme that like, as an adult was like, okay, well, we'll talk about when we get into it. But I mean, just an overarching, like anti-Marxist, anti-communist, very pro-capitalist, like BS, and missed over my head as a child. The termites I thought were terrifying, that whole scene where they shoot acid out of their heads and they just melt people.
You know what that scene reminded me of was when I watched Starship Troopers as a kid, when they go into their first battle.
My brother said the same exact thing with the acid.
Hell
it's
yeah,
very
Keith.
reminiscent. Yeah, and I do agree. It's very reminiscent of that. And all of the different actors in it that I had no clue, except for Sylvester Stallone. That was the only one that I knew. Everybody else, it went right over my head. Had no clue it was Gene Hackman. Had no clue that we had Sharon Stone or Chrissy Walks, or we had Jennifer Lopez, or as I like to call her, J. Lopes. And Andrew likes to call her that too. It was very over my head. I just liked the miniaturization of everything, and like, oh my gosh, they're on a worm, and the worm is the roller coaster riding the apple, and like, wow, it's so cool. But everything else, it was like I was expecting it to be a Bug's Life, honestly and truly. So that's what I remember. I also remember being in the classroom, and the kid that brought this in, we always had to swear, because we were in a Catholic school, that there was no cursing or bad stuff in it. And they're like, it's not, it's a kid's movie. And they said damn and crap. And my teacher looked at that kid and they were like, I thought that you said there was no cursing in this movie. And that kid got in trouble. So, Yep.
I grew up in a Church of Christ, Southern Baptist kind of region of the country too. So that was kind of the same. Like, I remember that in school. I remember being like, is there cursing? And it would be the most, like, it'd be like hell. And you could see the teacher, like, face turn red. Like, they were going to come in and execute her for letting us watch a movie with, like, a curse word in it.
And they'd be well within their rights to do so.
Which, you know what's funny is, like, I remember my parents, that was a big thing with them, and all of my other friends' parents it's just like, is there cursing in it? You could have, like, sex scenes. You could have, like, the most, like, dark metaphors you could imagine. And we'll get into this one. Violence. It didn't matter. Like, Saving Private Ryan, they were just like, turn your ears off to the cursing.
But watch the man's head get blown off.
Yeah.
Yay! And the man screaming for his mommy as he gets murdered.
Oh, still one of the most terrifying scenes ever.
Ever. I would agree with that.
It still hits me. It's still, like,
horrifying.
It makes my heart
Although,
sink.
Tangent, I will say, there is a war scene in this movie. We're not talking about Saving Private Ryan. The most horrific war movie I've ever seen, though, is All Quiet on the Western Front. And our good friend of the podcast, Jamie Flanagan, and I watched that, and we both we had to take a break halfway through.
Did I tell you what happened to me when I watched that, Kyle?
No. Did you have a panic attack?
I watched it while inebriated under the influence of potentially some THC, and I had to step away. Turn it off.
Same.
I went and dug out my Game Boy Advance, started playing Pokemon. I had to, like, transport myself to a completely different world because I spiraled so hard.
Was it Pokemon Emerald?
It was actually Fire Red. Emerald's only for special occasions.
Okay.
You know this. But yeah, that movie is great. But we don't need to get off topic too much.
I mean, there's another Saving Private Ryan reference. So Kyle's officially back on the show. I love it.
Let's go.
Andrew, what about you? What about Antz that spoke to you as a kid?
So I remember Bug's Life came out first, and I remember loving Bug's Life. It was classic Pixar, and that was their heyday at that point.
Did Bug's Life come out first?
I'm pretty sure this came out.
I thought, because the big part of this story is this, like, beat Bug's Life to theaters, and then Bug's Life came out shortly after.
Okay, Bug's Life was November 20th. And Antz, give me a second. I want to make sure that I am.
It should be October.
Yeah, it was October 2nd. It was so long ago. I mean, I was only like 6 years old, so memory's fuzzy. But I definitely saw both in theaters. Obviously, I remember loving Bug's Life. Antz, I remember it was just a little above my head for a number of reasons that we'll get into. I remember leaving, and my mom was like, "Well, maybe that wasn't a movie for you," but we saw it. And I guess the general feeling was I just didn't like it as much as A Bug's Life.
Yeah.
That's really, I don't remember it much. I just remember comparing it to A Bug's Life and not liking it nearly as much. Pretty much the gist of it.
So I remember I saw this movie on VHS. I don't think I saw it in theaters. At least I don't think I did, but I would have been pretty young when this came out. I do remember seeing Bug's Life in theaters. I remember liking both, and I had both on VHS. But I remember always wanting to watch Bug's Life over Antz.
Yeah.
But I watched Antz quite a bit.
I don't remember hating Antz. It wasn't like one of those things where I was like, nah, fuck this movie. It was just childlike brain only thinks about two movies that are comparable, and you pick the one of the two.
And Bug's Life, from what I remember, was more whimsical. And for that age, like, you're going to be drawn to the more whimsy part of those movies. I do think Antz now, like, I mean, we'll dive into this. I think you nailed it. It went over my head as well. I think that's why I liked A Bug's Life a lot more. The backstory of this movie is kind of interesting to me. So, Andrew, we've been doing a little bit of Don Bluth lately. I know Kyle's been in and out on the Don Bluth train that we've been on. But we talked a little bit, even with the episode with Tyler last week, where Don Bluth left Disney because they were handcuffing the animators. You remember that?
Yeah, of course.
Don Bluth kickstarted The Secret of NIMH, Land Before Time, and American Tail, and revamped the animation of the country. People started going to see animated movies again. Well, Disney had to counteract, and we talked about this. So they had Jeff Katzenberg, who was an animator with Disney at the time, Tyler mentioned this. He kickstarted the revolution of Disney, who was dead last in all the animated films that were coming out, and they were releasing a lot of duds. He kickstarted everything with Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, and Lion King. So those
are big ones.
He was a big time.
Yeah.
He was known for what he did with Disney. Flash forward a little bit in time, and Jeff Katzenberg's up for promotion, president of animation at Disney. Do you think he got the job, Andrew?
I don't think he did.
He did not. And you want to know who didn't give him the job?
Eisner?
Michael Eisner, who was a very controversial figure, would you say, with Disney? You're a
yes
Disney guy.
And no.
He's kind of credited with
Eisner is bringing Disney out of the dark ages, like a complete renaissance. He's done shady stuff, I know, but the average person who's an average Disney fan looks at Eisner and thinks of all those movies in the 90s that brought Disney back from nothing.
Well, apparently, doing research into this, it's Katzenberg who brought Disney out of the dark ages.
Katzenberg did, but Eisner, being the CEO, the head face, most will tell you, or most will align that era with Eisner. I feel like Katzenberg gets the short end of the stick, even though he probably deserves more credit.
And to me, Eisner was more focused on the parks, too, in the 90s.
He definitely did a lot. But when you are that CEO, that head face, head honcho, president, whatever you want to call it or refer to it as, you get more credit than you probably deserve just because you are the face.
And so Katzenberg, pissed off, leaves Disney and forms DreamWorks Animation. Katzenberg did something during his tenure with Disney that a lot of people forget about. He actually formed the partnership with Disney and Pixar. So during that partnership, he meets a man and becomes good friends with John Lasseter, who was the chief creative officer at Pixar. So they stayed friends after this whole thing of Katzenberg starting DreamWorks and leaving Disney. Lasseter was telling Katzenberg he has this incredible animated movie coming out that's going to change the game. It's going to be one of those things that's going to be like what Star Wars did for sci-fi, is how he coined it to Katzenberg. And it was Toy Story. And this was a couple years before Toy Story had been released. Pixar hasn't actually released an animated film yet, but they were working on 2. So in the meantime, he's telling them Toy Story is almost done, but we're also working on a movie about ants, and this would be A Bug's Life. So, to Lasseter's surprise, after Toy Story is released, he hears of DreamWorks working on this movie called Antz, and it has a similar concept to A Bug's Life. John Lasseter, thinking to himself, is they stole our idea. And then it became a race to see who could put their movie in theaters first. And DreamWorks beat Pixar and Bug's Life to the theaters because Katzenberg had offered the entire animation team huge bonuses if they could get the movie done quicker. There is a conspiracy theory around Eisner using Katzenberg to accelerate A Bug's Life into production. Now, Katzenberg has said many times that he did not steal any idea from Lasseter and Pixar, that this was a pitch meeting he got. But it is ironic that pitch meeting happened at the same time that he was talking to Lasseter about Toy Story and A Bug's Life. What do you think, Andrew? Do you think he stole the idea?
I think it's very possible, if not probable. I mean, come on. I wouldn't say stole necessarily, but use that idea against them in terms of spites or competition. What are the odds that 2 animated films are released within a month and a half of each other in the same year? Come on. I'm all about a healthy conspiracy. I think this one tracks. So,
yeah. Before we get into the numbers of seeing how Antz performed, I think we have to address the elephant in the room, don't we?
Yeah.
All right. Kyle, do you want to talk about the elephant in the room?
Let me do it, because I'm the one who brought it up multiple times, and I feel fairly strong about it. It was difficult. I will say it was difficult to watch and listen to Woody Allen take a lead role and carry such a respectable character that relates to all of humankind in many facets. We all know that Woody Allen has I mean, he's kind of a piece of shit. Not kind of, he is.
Not kind of, he's a piece of shit.
He is. I shouldn't mince my words here. He's a predator. He's a sexual predator. Talented, unfortunately. We discussed this earlier. It's a shame because he is incredibly talented, but just a derelict. I'm able to separate humans from the arts, the artist from the artist, if you will, art from the artist, if you will. But like in this situation, especially with other things that are coming out now with Epstein files and child trafficking, like, I don't know, it just screams evil to me. And God, I can't get past it. I don't know. I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. So it was tough to take in some of his characters' monumental moments. And it was tough to fully relate and love this character, knowing who that voice is and all the things that he's done. It's a real mixed bag of things, unfortunately.
Yeah, because we talk about removing the artist from the art, right? And that's what you have to do in this movie, but it is very hard considering
there are some that you can't do that with.
And this is one, I feel.
It definitely teeters, I would say, for sure. I was definitely having a hard time watching some of those moments when, like, the bar scene, and right after that, when he, like, quote unquote kidnaps her, it's just like, that's why it's so real. That's why, because it's probably a lived experience for somebody.
Yeah.
This is where acting, and this is what we talk about Kevin Spacey. I know, Andrew, you and I have talked about this a lot with him. I cannot watch his stuff anymore, regardless of how good everybody else's performances is, because a lot of times he's playing a predator. Some kind of really manipulative piece of shit who might not be a sexual predator, but a predator in some way. And that's why you're so good at playing that, because that's who you are. You are not donning somebody else. You're not donning another character. You're doing yourself. And this gets into a whole, like, philosophical debate about acting and stuff, which we're going to talk about another time. We don't have to do it now, but it is. I don't think that's acting. I'm sorry. So
I will say, I don't know. Kevin Spacey's not a good human either. He is not. And we don't even know the brevity of things that he got caught up in. But I don't know. Woody Allen's is far more in your face.
And unapologetic as well. Like, far more unapologetic.
Yes. He lives in France now, I think, with his wife.
I looked that up, and I looked that up. I think he's still living in Upper East Side in Manhattan.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought they moved to France, but maybe they just have a home there. I don't know.
I mean, he has the money. You know,
of course he does.
I could believe both, but it would be hard for me to believe that he's just walking around New York and not getting ridiculed. But I guess he is older now, and a lot of people.
He's 91, I think. I think he's 91,
a lot of people probably don't even recognize him because he's been out of the limelight for so long.
He's also probably a decrepit, old, crumbling bag of bones. Yeah. So I just, with the Epstein files and him being on that island and being named, I don't know, countless times, it just doesn't help his cause whatsoever.
No.
And his cause was up for redemption by any means. It just completely soils it.
And it's not, and we're not going to go into anything on this show because this is not the show for it. You can look up all these, like, allegations and these other things and make your own opinion about it.
But our opinion here on this podcast is that you playing yourself and being good at playing yourself as a character is not acting, and that's that.
That's true. And right now, there's some lines in this movie that'll make you pause it and have to take a deep breath, or at least it did for me. But Andrew, Antz, it made it to theaters first. How did it do?
Correct. I had a pretty steep budget. I want to hear some guesses from y'all. This is one that I do want to hear guesses. I'm not just going to blurt it out.
What year did this come out again? Was this 98?
98.
Okay.
And also remember, Kyle, before you make your guess, too, this goes in line with what I was saying earlier, that bonuses were handed out for this movie to get to theaters before A Bug's Life. So I'm sure that this got swelled up.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say... Okay, sorry.
I was going to say, think of the cast. This is an all-star cast.
Oh, my God.
A lot of money.
But Sylvester Stallone did it for free.
What?
Did he really?
Yeah, I think he took royalties, but he did not take pay for this movie. So keep that in mind. I think
Good for him. Wow. Good for him.
I don't. At this point, do you really think he needed to with Rocky? All the Rocky movies, like he was swimming.
I think he did it because he just wanted to do a kids movie.
Fair.
So
honestly, people shit on him a lot, and we'll talk about it. But like, he was definitely a pillar of this movie.
Yeah. Yep.
So with all the
numbers.
big names the fact that there were so many. This is unprecedented. This is right around the time where like Toy Story, all that stuff is like coming out, and it's also with a new studio. That this is like the first iteration of it with this new studio with DreamWorks. I'm gonna go ahead and say budget all in around $200 million.
Okay, Chase, what do you think?
Oh man, I'm gonna say it's south of that. I'm gonna say it's 130.
So you all were a little off, not 200, not 130. It was 105 million according to Box Office Mojo and Google searches. So 105 million.
That's still a lot for an animated film in the 90s.
Yeah, that's a big one.
What was Iron Giant, like 75 million?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Crazy. What kind of damage did it do in the box office? I almost think it's a dud at this point.
I was gonna say, I think it's leaning towards dud.
Domestic release or domestic gross was almost 91 million. Internationally, 81 million. So altogether, a cool almost 172 mil is what it did.
Okay.
So
I didn't.
Success. It wasn't a hit, but it was a success.
Yeah, it made its money. So
yeah.
Probably not the money that they were expecting, but enough for DreamWorks to be profitable off of that, especially because I don't know, was this the first DreamWorks animated film?
I believe it was.
Yeah, because this would have fallen in line with Katzenberg leaving Disney, and this would be one of his first attempts. So, yeah, not too bad. Let's go ahead and get started. Kyle, welcome back to the show. Tell us how this movie starts.
It starts in a therapist's office, and we're going over like, I feel like I'm meant to be part of something bigger, but like I'm not, and I feel like I'm insignificant. And the therapist goes, "Well, that's a major breakthrough. It is." He's like, "Yeah, you are insignificant. You're dirt." And that's how it kind of opens. We're already off to like a really like realistic, big city kind of, which kind of comes full circle now that I'm thinking about it. At the end of the movie, big city feel. I feel insignificant and getting lost in all this. Like I work, I live to work. I don't do anything else but live to work, and that's it. And it's
supply
kind of
for others.
Again, as a kid, had no over my head. No.
The Marxist undertones were not apparent when we were children.
No, close. It was like anti-individualism, pro-pluralism, like anti-communist, like capitalist commune, weird vibes. It was way over my head.
Yeah, it's like this hit me really hard as an adult, this therapy scene. I actually rewound it because I was like, whoa, this is really, kind of really going in for, we're all part of one system and we work for that system, and the system only works when we give over our individuality to make that system work. And it was like, geez. Like this is gonna be a ride, isn't it?
6-year-old me was never gonna put that together. No, you know what I mean? Like this is gonna be missed completely.
And we understand now why the S is turned into a Z, because our main character's name is Z, played by Woody Allen.
Woody Allen.
Which, Kyle, that was a really good Woody Allen impression.
It was a great Woody Allen. I want you to continue doing that throughout the rest of this episode.
I will do my best. When it starts to not work, though, I'm not doing it anymore.
Okay, that's fine. I won't pressure you.
So we get the therapist.
Like Woody Allen does?
God. After the therapy session, what happens next, Andrew? He just goes back into his working life, right?
Yeah, we see that he's a worker ant. We get the structure of how ants are put into their class system. You're either like a soldier or you're a worker. Soldier, worker. And it's pretty much passed down to you right as you're born. And, good old Z, he's a worker ant. There's nothing crazy about him. He's smaller in stature. He's a little frail. He's got to use his pickaxe and scrape away.
Very blue collar.
Caverns. Yeah, very blue collar. But he's just a whiny little guy. He pines for more. He knows there's more to life than him just slaving away and their ant farm.
There's a scene, too, where the queen is giving birth to babies, basically, and they're just being assigned worker or soldier. And so when you see the soldiers, they're way bigger than the workers when they mature. But
they're buff.
But they're just being assigned immediately after birth. So it doesn't make sense. They don't even wait for them to mature to assign them. So there should be some soldiers that are smaller, like the workers, and some workers that are bigger. It doesn't make sense. But that's me nitpicking at that point.
Well, I mean, I think we're going to talk about this a little bit because, like, looking at it from a biological point of view, like, that's not incorrect. Like, a lot of the soldier ants and a lot of different ant species are quite large, and they're the ones who are going out and foraging and, like, finding things to bring back to, or like protecting the colony. And the workers are tinier. They're smaller. They're working in small little, tunnels, burrowing, and all that stuff. That's not far out of the realm of like reason. But for purposes of this movie, it didn't really. I was like, I don't think we need to be different sizes. I think they can just be the same because it doesn't really matter. But they doubled down on some of this biology stuff, which I want to talk about at some point.
Yeah, they do a great job.
They really do.
I thought when the ants matured, that's what they matured into. Like, if they were bigger, they just got assigned to be a soldier. But that's us diving into shit that don't even, like, it's a kid's movie. Like, so, Andrew, so he's working. We're meeting some of the cast of characters. Who do we meet?
We meet Weaver, don't we? This is Sylvester Stallone's character. He is a dumb soldier.
The soldiers are quite dumb.
Much of a brain. Yeah, they're just told what to do. They're big, brawny, and empty up in their.
They're very much
cranial
the jocks of this movie.
Yeah, we meet him. We also meet Azteca, who is
J-Lo.
Yeah, J-Lo.
No, J-Lo. That's not how you say her name, Andrew. We call her J-Lo.
J-Lopes, okay, yeah, sure.
Call her that? Remember how you call her that all the time?
I prefer to refer to her as Jenny from the block, but
I'm still Jenny from the block.
From the block.
I had a little, then I had a lot.
But Azteca, she is a worker ant as well, and is always like, "Oh, Z, shut up and do your job. This is all for the colony. It's for each other. Why do you have to be so selfish and so in your mind? Yada yada yada." So again, painting the picture of Z being separated from the ultimate goal of their civilization, if you will. I don't remember the scene exactly, but they're hacking away with their little ant pickaxes. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and
there's nothing more to add.
And this movie zips by pretty quickly in this first.
Yeah, it's only an hour and 23 minutes.
Yeah, and the first 2 minutes are just him interacting with different characters. While he's like interacting in his work life, we see Gene Hackman make his appearance in this movie. He is the general, right? Am I not mistaken?
General Mandible.
General Mandible. And he's controlling the army, and he finds out that there is a termite invasion about to happen. And so he wants to hit the termites before they can get to them and destroy the colony.
It's kind of implied that they're not really sure if the termites are going to invade. Military leaders do. He talks to the queen, and she's like, "Why don't we send a diplomat to talk?" He's like, "No, I think we need to act. We need to wipe them off the face of the earth before they threaten our life."
And the
strike, if you will.
And the queen was like, "We've already had peace talks, so there is a treaty on this. So, like, why would there be an attempt at war by the termites?" So she's confused, but she trusts the general.
Yeah.
And so while this
I will say it's pretty timely if you think about the current events in our world going
absolutely,
on,
I was definitely going to mark
timely.
That. Definitely, always timely though. This is a very timely thing that's happened many a times in the history of the world, not just in this country, but in other countries as well. It's
100%.
It's definitely a shady thing, but he starts talking to his general or his like second in command, and I think that one's Christopher Walken, right? Like
Colonel Cutter.
Cutter, yes, and Cutter was not going to have a role and say anything in this movie, but Christopher Walken came on and did such a great job delivering his lines that they expanded the role of Cutter
as they needed to. You can't leave Christopher Walken out of anything.
No, and he doesn't have that many lines in it, but the lines he does have, he delivers like he's probably one of the shining stars in this movie.
Him and Hackman both were phenomenal.
Gene Hackman. R.I.P. Gene Hackman.
R.I.P.
Too. Like, let's pour one out for him. True legend. Legend. But Gene Hackman kind of goes to him, his character, and he says, "What about this?" Cutter pulls this list of just dumb soldiers. He's like, "These could be the ones to sacrifice. These are the first on the Queen's list." So you can already tell there's something brewing between those two. And he's like, "Great, send them." And then we cut to, like, what, a bar scene, right?
Yeah.
Like, the workers and the soldiers are interacting in the bar. And what happens there, Andrew?
So they're drinking out of some crude joke where Z was like, I don't really care to drink out of another insect's anus. And Weaver's like, oh, well, suit yourself.
Yeah.
And he chugs a few, throws it back, and they're like, all right, everyone, let's dance. So all the workers.
Time to dance. It's obligatory dance. State-sponsored dancing right now, folks. State-sponsored dancing.
They get up and they do this like line dance, like in synchronicity. Like it is completely aligned. Workers and soldiers. It looks boring and stupid. There's no feeling to it. They're literally robots moving in sync, in line with each other. And of course, Z is just there sitting at the bar, being a mopey, sad boy as he is. And in walks royalty, not the queen, but Princess Bala, played by none other than Sharon Stone. And she sees Z at the bar by himself and goes up to him and is like, hey, would you want to dance? And he turns around and is like, yes, completely switches his direction of sad, the interior thoughts to, oh my gosh, wow, there's a very attractive Antz who wants to get down. So yeah, so they go out and they dance. They're in the midst of this robotic line dancing of the crowd, just kind of feeling themselves, doing their own thing. He lets loose a little bit in a very timid way. Again, he's not doing his robotic dance. He is feeling himself. And Bala's, you're a clever, interesting little character. I like you.
You're not like the rest of the homogenous group.
Yes.
Because Z is like a free thinker, basically, and he's one of the few that just thinks outside the box, and that's what they establish, and that's what kind of the princess thinks of him, is like, oh, look at this individualized ant amongst non-individual ants. So that kind of sparks her interest, but it's very light interest, and their meeting only lasts for like a few minutes, and then next thing you know, like, we have a bar fight between Sylvester Stallone and other soldier ants picking on Z.
Yeah, because they were telling him to like fall in line and follow everyone else.
Stop talking to the princess, know your place, kind of thing. And it starts this huge bar fight, and the princess kind of escapes because she's not really supposed to be there, as we find out. So her and her friends get out of there super quick, and
no one notices.
And Z's like thinking he's in love. So
he's smitten. He's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, what are the odds? Oh, my heart. Oh.
Which with Woody Allen. Oh God. So we're moving on. So she leaves, and the bar fight happens, and then we get to the next day, and Z is working, and he's optimistic
singing love
now.
songs.
Yeah. He's in a great mood.
Yeah.
And this kind of all leads to him trying to find the princess, and he knows being a soldier is the next step to being around the princess. So he talks Weaver into replacing him in the mines for a day and doing his work, and he's going to replace Weaver as a soldier, which, again, he's the smallest soldier that they have. I don't understand how somebody didn't pick up on the fact that, because they notice him being a worker the whole way through, and then all of a sudden, once he puts on the soldier helmet, he's a soldier.
I guess there's so many ants, it's really hard to keep track of who's who.
But when they did the animation, there's not a single ant that is as small as him as a soldier. So it's like, it would have been easy to find this plan. But he's joining the army now for a day or two just so he can meet up with the princess and ask her out. But little does he know that the army he joined is the one that the general is sending out to slaughter to the termites.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now he's lining up with the rest of them, and he's starting to realize how bad his plan's gone because General Mandible?
General Mandible, yep.
Tells the group that they're going to go into war against the termites, and that the biggest honor that they could have is dying for the colony. And so it's slowly dawning on him. And then we get this really cool march sequence, which I thought was pretty awesome. They're marching and chanting. And Kyle, let's talk about the animation at this point. This animation is, I think, pretty solid in this movie.
Yeah, let's say this. It is dated, but for what it is, like y'all just watched Titan AE, and I also watched it, but I wasn't able to comment on it. shit animation versus good animation for the time period. And this really shows like this was good animation for the time. And it really shines when we get to Insectopia later, or their idea of Insectopia. But right now, it's kind of like when I was a kid, I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like they're all marching and they're marching up the side of this of this bank, and like they're like at a 90-degree angle. They're walking up. It's so cool. And the whole time, like Z's having this dialogue with his new friend. What is it? What's his name? Andrew Barbados.
Danny Glover.
Barbados. Danny Glover.
Yeah.
Barbados. Yes.
Yeah, Barbados. And he's like, they kind of sound like the pushovers. They don't sound like they're too strong. And he's like, no, they're actually they're 3 times our size, and they shoot acid out of their foreheads. And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, shit. And they keep on. They're kind of. I always thought that part was kind of funny. He's like, oh, okay.
So
yeah.
I want to say something about the animation. Obviously, I think it's good. Like the world they created, it's pretty immersive. There's other elements that we'll get into when we get further along in the plot. But I hated the way the ants looked. I'm sorry, it just bothered me. I did not like them.
They almost look like
their
walnuts.
faces. It was almost like smashed ET faces, like molded ET faces. They all looked like some variation of that. And yeah, walnuts, or they were made of wood or something.
Yes.
I don't know. Their physical appearances really bothered me. Granted, I was probably comparing it to A Bug's Life, which is a lot more agreeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say this with
Titan. I did not care how they looked, but everything else around was good. Sorry, go ahead with Titan AE.
Yeah, I was going to say with Titan AE, too, like having Tyler on the show was great so he can lend his knowledge to some of the animation. With Titan AE, they attempted to do a lot of different things. They were trying different animation styles in one, and even the scenes that we were like, oh, that looks like shit, which to Kyle's point did, but Tyler explaining what they were attempting to do and how hard it was. This movie's all computer generated. It looks better than Titan AE, but at the same time, it doesn't have the charm of those different animation styles, and you could tell people were actually trying to really work on different things.
Yeah.
So I will point that out.
Titan AE tried to do too much, and
ahead of its time.
Fell flat. Yeah, for sure. But as I said, the surrounding worlds that they created in Antz was really cool.
Looked phenomenal.
Being in an anthill and like seeing the nooks and crannies and like where they sleep, and it was pretty submersive and very cool. I just hated the ants. I thought they looked stupid.
I actually thought that a lot of the creatures in this world looked very strange. The world itself looked great, and then like we get like the one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Except for the wasp that we'll get to, I think they look pretty cool. But
they knew what was coming with Bug's Life and how like perfect and amicable those characters were going to look. So I feel like they had to do something a little more rough around the edges.
The 2 different movies. This movie is more rough around the edges than A Bug's Life is.
It
as well. Like,
sure.
It doesn't not fit, but I do see what you're talking about, though.
The attempt of the adult language here too, like everything here is like very adult heavy because we have soldiers being sent to death right now in this march, and they just accept the fact that they're walking into like a trap, basically.
Yes.
And that leads us to the battle. They end up marching, which looked amazing. All these ants just marching all
under the
way.
midnight sky.
It was beautiful.
Cool.
Yeah, and then we get to where they find the termite colony, and what happens, Kyle? I know we brought up Saving Private Ryan earlier.
Yeah, it's horrific. They get to the termite colony, which is like a piece of wood that's just like a dugout stump, essentially. And they enter, and it's like nighttime, and they're all coming in from all different directions. There's no termites there. Like, where did they go? Where are they? And all of a sudden, they pop up from out of the ground, and they're just these look nothing like termites in the real world. Like, not at all. Like, but when they're talking about like what they do and their biological processes, like they're not wrong. Like termites, okay, so the acid thing, like termites do produce acid, but they do not produce like formic acid like ants would, that for like self-defense or offense. So that's not really like a thing, but they're not far off. Like you can put that in there and I'd be like, okay, sure. But the size ratio, I'm pretty sure termites are bigger than some ants, but I think it depends on species to species. So that's moot. However, the whole experience and the whole scene that they're trying to fit was scary as a kid. Like they're giant termites. They got big mandibles, and they just start melting ants and like
it's
spraying
horrific.
acid everywhere, and just like eating them and chopping them up, and they're killing them and they're killing each other. Our friend Z like is chased by one, and he falls through part of the rotted out wood, and he comes to after the battle and pops up, and it's just everybody's dead except for his friend. His friend
is a word for it.
He goes over to his friend and he's like, "Hey, Z," and he goes over. He's like, "Be honest, how bad does it look?" And it's just his head.
Just his head. It's
severed
so
head. We got to get you put back together. And it's like, that's not happening, bro. And while he's doing this, like, you see the smoke of the battlefield. Like, again, to Kyle's point, there's just corpses everywhere. Not just ants, but, like, termites as well.
Movie.
Yeah, and this was, like, not a short battle either. This is a good, lengthy battle. It was like the D-Day landing strip in Saving Private Ryan. It was crazy that they put this in there. And that, again, I guess parents were just like, oh, this is fine as long as there's no cursing.
Here's an actual battle scene between two types of insects where all get massacred and no
heads are getting severed. There's explosions, acids going out. Like there's one termite that gets ripped from the inside out, and all of his interest. It was like, and then he's still able to like decapitate an ant. It's like nuts, like the amount of detail in this scene. But I was here for it as an adult. Like you're like, hell yeah. And then it cuts back to the ant colony. And I think that's where they tell Mandible that there was one ant that survived, which goes against his plan. You can kind of pick up that he's got some sort of ulterior motive, but we don't really know exactly what it is yet. And he was trying to wipe out the army by sending them into this like trap with the termites. And now that one ant has survived somehow, has pissed him off. But he's got to go along with it. So Z is brought back to the colony as this war hero. One of the funny scenes is when he gets back to the colony, all the worker ants are, celebrating his return. It's kind of like that welcome the troops back home kind of thing, even though we slaughtered a bunch of them for no reason. It's very dark humor there because there's someone holding up a sign that says welcome back troops, and the S is like marked out. So it says welcome back troop.
Welcome back troop.
Yeah,
I thought that was really funny. That was a pretty
I really so hard. So what happens next, Kyle, now that he's back in the colony and everyone's treating him like a war hero?
Well, now he gets his moment with the princess. Mandible's like, all right, listen, yeah, we're going to go out here and wave to people. Like, all right, soldier, cool. He's like trying to talk. He's like, I don't feel like a hero. He's like, that's good. I don't like heroes. And they keep on, they start like walking him through these like steps of like, oh, you're a hero. We're going to go show you to the prince, or to the queen and the princess, and his ears perk up, or his ear holes perk up, and he's like, oh, the princess. So they go up there to meet the princess, and this is where like the Woody Allen part, I had to like pause and take a breath, because I was like, I feel like this is just, for this to come across in voice acting without any physicals is pretty impressive and frightening, because he's like, essentially he just kidnaps the princess, and he's like, don't you remember who I am? I'm from this guy from the Youch, the guy from the bar. And she's like, oh, that's you. And he's like, yeah. And they start, wait, you were at a bar? You were at a bar? This, that, and the other. And she goes next to him, and then he grabs her arm or something.
Well, she's like, you're a worker ant. You're not supposed to be a soldier. So his like plan is unraveling on what he's done. Like he's moonlighted as a soldier. So they're like, you're not a soldier. You're a worker. And there's heightened senses around everything. And he like grabs her arm, and he's trying to just like talk to her. And the queen's like, what are you doing? Unhand her. What are you doing? Are you taking her hostage? So now he's got to take her hostage. So what happens after that, Andrew?
They jump down a garbage chute or a trash chute, and they pretty much leave the anthill and get taken outside into the, I wouldn't say great unknown, but places that only soldiers venture to. And they are out and about, separated from the hill, separated from the colony. And at this point, Z is like, all right, this is step one. We are trying to find Insectopia, which is what some crazy guy at the bar was talking about. It's a place that's separate from the colony, where you're free and it's beautiful. It's bug heaven. And so,
and what it's socialism at this point, because in
correct.
Insectopia, it's food for everybody. No one has to work and we don't have to work for others. There's no army, no wars. So it's that socialistic mentality.
It's freedom, baby.
It's freedom. It's
from
actual freedom that doesn't exist anywhere. But he talks about that. So he's obsessed with this idea of Insectopia, and he's going to find it with or without the princess. So he goes from this coward to kind of this very strong-willed ant out of nowhere. So that was jarring for his personality, but I guess like everybody can break at some point now that he is a criminal. He has nothing left to lose, which Woody Allen in Criminal, who would have known? And he says something too. So as they're wandering around, I have to break it. Like we mentioned this earlier, but we got to bring it up too. He mentioned something about his erotic fantasies around the princess. What was the Kyle? Do you remember the quote?
And here I was going to let you be a part of my erotic fantasies. And it's like, yeah, that's fucking creepy. Let you be a part of my erotic fantasies.
Right.
Interesting.
How honorable of him.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I know it's even worse with Woody Allen saying that, but anybody else saying that in a children's movie is very creepy and weird.
Yeah, just odd.
So it's also, I mean, like, think about the time period that we're in, though, too. This is the late 90s. We're coming out of we're in a transitional period in society. That kind of stuff is starting to become less and less ubiquitous and a little bit more frowned upon, but not quite yet. So it was a pretty creepy take you out of the movie kind of moment. For me, it was, at least, because right before this moment where they're ambling around, they get out of the trash chute, and like, it's a pretty like horrific scene that like to kind of butt up to this one, where they get out of the colony and the soldier ants come out for them, and they're just like on this like looks like a desert mound, and all of a sudden this giant magnifying glass comes over the sun, and it just starts obliterating and like just completely annihilating all of the soldier ants, and it's chasing them into this little alcove forest, little weeded area, essentially. And I do remember after this movie came out that the kids in our science class, I would have been in like second or third grade, they got the magnifying glasses and brought them outside and did that to the ants. Like, I was like, monkey see, monkey do. So
annihilate some ants.
Yeah, it was like, I was like, okay, that's pretty, okay. It does work. Interesting. But right after this moment where they have this like severe life or death moment for like pretty much the princess's first time and his second time, the only thing he's thinking about is like, here I thought I was going to let you be a part of my erotic fantasies. Like, fucking just weird timing. It doesn't make any sense, like, how they put that line in there.
And it makes it worse with Woody Allen. When Woody Allen says that, it just, oh my God. It's hard not to continuously think about that.
Yeah, but it's also important to remember that these actors, for the most part, are delivering lines. Some lines get changed. Some lines are omitted. Some things are changed after the fact or improv in the moment. But a lot of times there's a scripty, there's a person who's like said, this is what you have to say, this is what it is, or we're going to change it to this so it's documented. You don't just get to like fly off the handle.
Right.
I have a feeling that he might have flown off the handle with that a little bit. And, you know, it is a more gritty, real movie for a kid's movie, or let's just say an animated movie.
Yeah,
I think that's a better way to describe it.
Without the cursing, like if they just add cursing in this, it's an adult animated movie, is all it is.
100%.
Like,
absolutely.
Because the animation is very detailed. The storyline here is nothing short of a PG-13 romantic comedy. I don't know if we even judge this as a kid's movie. I think we could judge this as an actual just like adult movie. But they start maneuvering around, and they end up finding, a picnic table or a picnic spread? And
there you can see there's like a picnic basket, there's like a thermos, there's Pepsi can, there's 2 sandwiches wrapped in plastic that are stacked on top of each other. Blanket. Yep.
Yeah. And
they don't know what the hell that is, but of course the audience were like, oh, they're stumbling upon a picnic. So that means there's probably humans around.
Which he thinks he's in Insectopia. And they meet 2 wasp characters, which are my favorite characters in the movie.
Oh, they were funny.
Did you guys catch the analogy not the analogy, but the reference with them.
Yes, what was it? I knew it was something, but I couldn't place it.
The way that they talk, darling. And you can't. Here we go, another socialist crusade, darling. You can't. And she's like, we have to help them. They're dirty and they're poor. How were they talking? What would you imagine that character to look like in real life?
So they're high class, possibly like European.
What ethnicity?
White.
No, they weren't.
White.
Yeah, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants.
Since wasps, yes. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that was really clever and really well done. And that whole interaction is like, all right, darling, let's help them. Fine. Come on, Muffy. Like that's such a trope, and it hits really. It does it well.
And then Muffy gets like destroyed by a fucking fly swatter.
Yeah.
And
no, Muffy, no. It's so funny.
It comes out of nowhere too, and it ignites this scene of them trying to run from the human that's just trying to get rid of the wasp and the ants on the picnic blanket. And we get a lot of product placement on this picnic blanket.
Pepsi Mountain Dew.
PepsiCo, baby.
So, DreamWorks was not a Coke company. They had to sponsor with Pepsi.
And then we get Reebok as well.
Yes, not Nike, but Reebok.
Yeah. So, and where Reebok comes in as the ants are running now from this shoe that's just trying to stomp them on this picnic blanket, which, you think you just brush the ants away if there's only two of them. But there's gum on one of the shoes, and the princess gets stuck to the gum on the shoe as it steps on her. And then Z's trying to save her. So he's running as this human is walking, which he would never be able to catch up. I don't know how he was able to catch up here. So he's able to run with the human, catch up to one of the laces on the other shoe that was untied, and swing himself over into the gum of the other shoe. So now they're both trapped on this shoe that's just taking them wherever this shoe wants to take.
I will say I loved the scene. The giant shoe connected to the giant human. We were waiting for this introduction to the human world in this movie, and it was well done.
This human had some long legs too, my God.
Very long. This person was like 6'2", but like maybe like 130 pounds. Long, wiry legs.
What obscure basketball player could we say this human was that was having a picnic in the park? Could we say it was like Bo Outlaw or something?
It could be Kevin Durant. He is taller than 6'1", but we could say Kevin Durant. I don't know if Kevin Durant would be wearing nice blue-washed jeans with Reebok, but hey,
he's a very stylish fellow.
Yeah, sure.
While they're on the gum, the human grabs a penny and puts it up next to but before he scrapes it off, Z just has to say, "Who the hell is that?" And we see Abraham Lincoln like enter the frame.
That's right.
And then he scrapes.
I laughed out loud when I saw. I was like, "He's
little nugget."
Out loud too. She said, "I laughed. I was like, who the hell is that?" And it's just fucking Abraham Lincoln. Like, it's Abe, baby. It's Abraham.
And then he scrapes the gum off with a penny and chunks the penny towards the trash can, and that's how they find Insectopia. It's just a giant trash can where it's just overflowing. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
There's just rotting food and insects everywhere.
Apple cores and chewed up like donuts and
empty bottle of scotch.
Yes.
So they meet a couple, like a dung beetle and some others at this Insectopia, and they're kind of sitting around like a campfire, and
they're supposed to be stoners.
Yeah, and they're funny. Yeah. There's some like great lines there. There's
very funny.
There's one where he's like, "I don't want that. That tastes like crap." And the dung beetle's like,
he's like this tastes like crap. And he's like, "Oh, let me try." Yeah, it is crap. It's nice. I was like, yeah, that's good. That's good shit. Really.
And there's another moment where they're talking about like their existence in this world. What do they say? It was very, very on point, very relevant to even like how we feel and the greater sense of the universe. But clearly he sounds stoned out of his mind. He's like, what if we're just like small little infinitesimal little creatures that like are dwarfed by the surrounding universe? It's like, well, that's what you are, idiot.
And then you're like, oh shit, is that what I am? Like, and then
is that what I am? Yeah.
It creates this like crisis in your own head. And you're like, damn, they really hit everything in this movie. What happens next, Andrew? So they're talking. He's talking to the princess. They're starting to form a bond.
They're having their moments.
Yeah.
Yeah. They like each other now. All the while, Z and Bala are out in the wilderness, separate from the colony. The general wants the princess back, along with the queen. Queen wants her mother.
And we didn't mention
general
this with the
wants his
general.
fiance.
Right.
They're engaged.
Yeah, they're engaged. We didn't mention that earlier, but the general is engaged to the princess.
And it's like a arranged marriage, so it's not like they're in love with each other.
You find out that she was at the bar because she didn't like her life as much as that's how she's bonding with Z. She doesn't really care for her life, even though she's on top, and he doesn't like his life being on the bottom.
Correct.
And so they form a bond over that. But continue. I'm sorry.
The general has tasked Colonel Cutter and some other soldiers with finding the princess at all costs and kill Z in the process. Finds the princess, bring her back, kill Z, and all will be okay. So they're at this little campfire. They're having a moment. The bugs ask Z to go get some firewood because he's new and hasn't done anything. And when he's away, Cutter shows up and he's talking to these stoner bugs. He's like, have you seen the princess? She's an Antz, attractive, about yay height. And they're like, she's right there. And at this point, Cutter reconnects with the princess and it's like, you gotta go back. It is what it is. But she puts up a fight. She's like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to live the life that I'm told to live. She is, I wouldn't say succumbed, but she has started to agree with Z and his outlook on life. And so Cutter takes her back to the colony. Z is lucky. He knows that he needs to get back to her. He's lucky he catches a ride from the male wasp, and he gets brought back as well. So both are back. Princess Bala is now in the hands of General Mandible. He has locked her in his little office or lair, whatever you want to call it. And what's revealed to us now?
The whole point right now is that they're trying to essentially cleanse the colony of anybody who's not a soldier or deemed fit to be like a part of the greater commune. So they're going to try to kill.
Very Hitler move.
What was that?
Very Hitler move.
Very Hitler move. Like very, very, very ruthless and fucked up move. Kids movie.
Yeah, trying to genetically modify the entire colony to be only the elite is what he wants to do. And he's basically going to end up sending the worker ants to their death. They're going to build an escape hatch, and they're all going to die, and then the elite will survive, is what I gather that they were doing.
Yeah, and the queen's grouped in with those workers. He wants to kill everyone, all the workers, the queen.
Make her, the princess, the new queen of the next colony.
Yeah, the new queen. Yeah.
So
his trophy, his piece, if you will, to advance civilization.
So he ends up at the colony, and this is kind of where we're getting the climax of the film. So what happens now, Andrew?
The soldiers have left the anthill, and the workers are making their way to their tunnels to continue their digging, but they don't know that the digging is going to lead to their untimely demise. And Z gets in, he grabs the princess. Obviously, they uncover the plans there in little Mandible's lair, and then they start to run out and try to warn the workers. But of course, the idiot shills who run their little communes are like, no, that's not an official word. Keep working. Blah, 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 blah. I don't want to hear it from you. And he takes the pickaxe and throws it into the wall, and then all of a sudden the water just starts spewing, and it's starting to fill up the anthill. They're gonna frickin' drown if they don't do something.
And we got to make a moment too to talk about Sylvester Stallone's character, because he plays a bigger role in this. He
does.
They take him hostage and basically torture him to try to get information.
They beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, they're trying to get
Where's Z? Where's the princess? He's like, I don't know. Oh, and they just fucking brutally torture him.
And he's the one character that is just like stands for everything. He's a great character. So he ends up like never giving up the information. And then during this whole scene where the water's flooding in, Z's kind of directing everybody. He's back, and they're all starting to, because they turned on him when he left with the princess. Now they're all starting to realize he's the innocent one, not Woody Allen. And then so he's like, let's form a bridge or form a wall. And so they all start getting together and forming this huge wall that leads up to the one hole in the anthill for them to get out, which
is another point that I want to bring up that's also very, like, this is a real thing that ants will do in colonies. They will, like, when they're getting flooded out or drowned out, they will make like a flotilla because they're so small and they can intertwine so finely that they can actually
they weave together like a basket.
Yeah, it's almost like it's something to do with water tension, and I don't remember the exact like process that it is, but they're essentially the water can't bead effectively, so they're breaking up the water tension, or they're able to use it to their advantage so that they can't like sink and they float because they're trapping air between themselves. So I was like, it's actually really fucking like good for them. I don't know if they meant to do that, but like
I did read where they did do a lot of research on ants, and so a lot of this stuff that went in was intentional.
Well, it shows for sure because I was like, as somebody that nerds out on animal shit, I was like, that's pretty accurate, pretty cool.
Yeah, and they end up forming this wall, and they're able to basically escape, right, Andrew? But, like, Sylvester Stallone's character takes the brunt of it, and he holds up the entire wall at one point. So
he's Atlas, essentially, at the bottom.
Yeah.
While Z is the one who climbs all the way to the top and is the one that punches through to the surface where the idiot soldiers and Mandible are.
And then what happens next, Andrew? We're getting to the end of it.
Well, as soon as Z gets up there, Mandible's like, "What? How'd you get up here?" And he like loses his ever-loving mind and goes after Z. And as the ants start to make their way up, Cutter's like, "Okay, I made a mistake here. You, Mandible, you are the one that is beneath the colony. You are the one that, is a piece of shit." And he steps in between the two, knocks Mandible off to the side. At this point, the colony's made their way up, so they see the hubbub that's going. They understand Mandible's the bad guy. He gets up, he crashes towards Z, and they fall back into the hill. Mandible hits like, I don't know, does he hit like a piece of wood or like a stick or something and like splatters, and Z falls into the water where he is saved-ish, if you will. Is that what happens?
Like Cutter dives in after him. They both fall at the same time. And Mandible hits the branch and they show him hitting it from like a very far way away, but you can tell like he's dead. Which is
you don't see him splatter, but it's implied that Antz from that distance. Yeah, he's dead. Cutter dives into the water because he's a flying ant. He picks him up, brings him back up to the surface where all the ants are gathered. And Bala does like one puff of CPR and he's fine. He's alive. And everything's okay. Mandible's gone. The colony's okay. Let's start anew. Moving on to the next facet of our lives, essentially. And there's a little like pan out at the end that's narrated by Woody Allen where he's like, "Oh, me and Bala got together. We started a family. I saw a new therapist. Things are going pretty good." And they pan out even more. You see the anthill, you see the trash can, then you see that trash can in a park, and then that park is like on the outskirts of New York City, just showing the gravity of the world around the tiniest plants.
Did you also notice this is another 90s movie? What do we always say about 90s movies that happen in New York?
Gotta have the Twin Towers in it.
Twin Towers!
Gotta have the Twin Towers, baby. Never forget. Up there in the background.
Would this be Central Park, Andrew? I know it kind of it didn't look like it was in the position that Central Park would be, but what they were aiming for.
I think that's what they were going for, but it didn't seem like it was in that position. It looked like it was on the other side of the Hudson in New Jersey.
I think it was supposed to be Central Park, but they were like, "We'll do Liberty so you can see the scale of the like buildings in the background." So that to me is what they were going for, but it was really like Kyle said at the beginning, like the opening and the ending were very, very in sync to add some context to everything. So I thought the ending, especially that pan out, I was like, "Oh, that's clever. That's real."
Yeah. It was just, but you also, like I said, there is that narration with Woody there at the end, just kind of painting the picture for what's to come. Or should I say Z?
Say Z, please.
Yeah. And then cut cutscene and movie start credits. That's pretty much it.
Yep, that's that, and that's Antz, folks.
We roll on Antz. So, Kyle, let's start with you. Antz when you were a kid versus Antz when you were an adult.
Yeah, it is a movie that I think hits better as an adult than it does as a kid. That's my initial thought. I think we have to be fair since there are so many other actors in this movie. To be fair, and this is not like some of those Kevin Spacey movies where he is like the titular person. Like it's not House of Cards where we're hinging on his every moment. The main character is very much sharing the time with everybody else. Main character, and I want to be fair and say that he doesn't. It doesn't take me out of it enough to say that I don't think I can watch this again. It's just there are like two moments that Andrew mentioned that are a little hard to get through, but they're tiny, small. The overall themes of this movie they do come full circle. I will say they're a little lofty. I would say for an animated film that's geared towards children, but they do prove their point. And at the end, the whole thing is don't be an individual. Don't be like you're part of the greater good, the greater good. And at the very end, they do get to the point where they're able to create a society that's worth it for everybody, where they really they're able to lead by example and not be so focused on, it would seem by the last couple moments of the movie that they're not so focused on workers, soldiers, know your place, that kind of thing. But I will say they do get a C- for me because they don't fully come full circle with the whole individual, don't be an individual. Like their kind of like Marxist view that Insectopia, which has the word and the connotation of utopia in it, and they love it and they're there, it's a throwaway. I didn't know how y'all felt about that, but they don't go back to Insectopia. They don't start their new colony at Insectopia. They just take over the status quo. But they're going to be more benevolent than the previous people, I guess. I don't understand what the point of that was. While they did do a good job of describing it, that didn't really come full circle to me, which I was waiting for. So that's a bit of a ding for me. But when it comes to the idea, the animation, some of the comedy in it, some of the moments, their imagination, it's those facets from when I was a kid to now, those still for me hold up. But overall, I would say this is definitely more one that hits as an adult than it does as a child.
Yeah, I do want to add to your point there. I do think some of what they were going for, and I agree with you. It feels like a little here and there with the Insectopia. I feel like that they were trying to make the thing of the status quo is always going to go on. No matter what your vision of grandeur is, you're still going to fall in line and you're going to do what you're taught and what you've learned. Because they kind of make it feel like that's what works. You need people around you. You need a society. And, of course, they're just going to continue that. That's kind of
also to that point, I will say, who were the main characters in Insectopia and what were the parallels they were drawing to our society?
Yeah, it's the stoners, the people that
we're all sitting by a campfire. We're just kind of welfare
hippie,
recipients, kind of thing, hippy dippy. Now, this is the other thing too. Is this propaganda? Is that real? I mean, you and all of us know people who are a little crunchy granola, who can kind of be more of those it's we just live on a commune and we don't really bathe and we don't really see the point in having a bank account. And they're kind of shitty people. I mean, people I know that are kind of shitty people. Or they're very naive. It doesn't really. Sorry if I just lost a whole swath of our viewership, but I don't know if I agree or disagree with it. I think you brought up a good point, Chase. It's you do need a society to live how we all live as Americans and also in the Western world and world in general. Society is not a bad thing, and a utopia doesn't necessarily mean. I mean, the utopia they were in was trash, literal. They were living in trash.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's some thought-provoking parts of it.
It is one of those movies that you thought it was going one way and then they turned it back to another way, and then at the end of the day, you're left thinking, because there's no real answer, I feel like, to that. There's good and bad to everything that we do and every society that we find. And it's like, how do you keep individuality without losing structure? Look at the Japanese culture. Everything's about the country. The country has to survive and thrive. If it survives and thrives, we all survive and thrive, but we have to do our part together. And that's a big thing in Japan. And, that's why their streets are so clean. Their crime is so low. I mean, but they do work themselves to death at the same time. There's always sacrifices that have to be made. And it's really hard on the human brain, I think, especially like when we're all our own individuals and want to think a certain way, it kind of brings up that point of where's the line. And I think this movie kind of made me think about that a little bit more, But it is a fascinating topic. Andrew, what did you think? Do you want to add to that?
I don't really have much to add. You all kind of just carried that. There's nothing more that I can add to that topic. I don't know what you want me to.
So what did you think?
You succinctly tied that bow, and I don't want to undo it. So
what did you think of the movie as an adult?
It's preachy. I don't know. Like, it was clearly obvious what they were going for from the start. I think they hit on some stuff, but like, it wasn't as succinct as they would have liked or would have thought. It was definitely a huge commentary on our society and structure of country and civilization. A little cliched, but I think the point still stands. They still made their points, but it wasn't anything that was like, oh wow, that really hit home. I need to rethink how I live my life. I don't know. It didn't completely register, completely make me rethink or reconfigure how I'm living. I don't know if you all felt the same way. Again, the point was obvious, but I don't think it necessarily did a bang up job in delivering that home. So,
yeah, that's what I was trying to say. And Chase also was trying to say is like, it's just, there wasn't like an aha moment, like, oh wow, that was really clever, like way to tie that ribbon together. It was just kind of meandering. It wasn't wrong. It was not entertaining. It's not like they were trying to make some kind of like point, but it got lost in the sauce. And it probably got lost in the sauce because of the stuff we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, which is what this movie was, what it was when it came out. Why was it pressed so hard to release before another movie? They probably had to cut corners and cut parts of storylines that would have been a little bit more poignant or more structured, just to make it more palatable for a children's audience to make more money.
Yeah, that's why I was just going to say, I just felt like it was a little pandering at times, as opposed to, and preachy, as opposed to like actually like teaching a valuable message. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a grumpy old man, but
I agree. I think they just left it open-ended because I think what their intention was just to have you form your own opinion, but it doesn't work in a kid's movie, and it kind of doesn't work when you go from one end to the other, and you can't leave it open because then you're just like, well, we got back to where we started from. But I will say this: I'm thinking more about this movie than I thought I would a week ago when we decided to do it. I didn't think it was going to be
for sure
that much of a difference, because usually when we watch these kids movies like We're Back, it's pretty cookie cutter. It's pretty like, this is for entertainment only. We're Back sucks, by the way, Kyle. Like,
they're not ever worth a watch.
That's sad. I remember that being a fun movie to watch when I was a kid, but
it's batshit insane. I will say that it's very interesting, but I wouldn't say it was great to watch.
No. It was. I think I said it. It kind of felt like a waste of time.
So
unfortunately.
So the big question here, Kyle, does this movie hold up?
Yes.
Okay, Andrew.
If I took Woody Allen out of it, yes, it does. If I don't, and I can't separate the art from the artist, no. I will say it was. That's the other thing. I touched upon this earlier. Like, the character of Z is supposed to be someone that we all relate to, something that the common man and every person experiences in the doldrums of life. And like, what is the point of existence? And why am I doing this? And why am I not breaking free. That's such a universal feeling that we're all supposed to understand and relate to. And it's put through the lens of Z, who's supposed to be this person that we like and come to love, maybe even. And it was really hard to do that, knowing the man who voiced it. Like, I just couldn't get past it. And normally, I am someone who can, but it was really, really, really difficult for me, just considering everything that Woody Allen has done. And I don't know, that's where it just bothered me. Someone of that stature, Woody Allen's stature, I don't want to be preached to by someone like that.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Well,
and
and
that
you
really bothered me through most of the movie. It did. And it's really hard for me personally to get past that. If you can, great. I think it's a decent watch, but it's so difficult for me in this situation just to turn a blind eye and completely ignore everything Woody's done. So I'm going to say no personally. I'm going to deviate and say no because of that difficult to separate. That really bothered me, and I'm not sorry, but it is what it is. I just can't get past it.
That's a fair assessment.
I really tried to go into it with an open mind, but when I finished watching it, I went on a walk with Gretchen and I told her immediately, I was like, that really fucking annoyed me. I don't want Woody Allen in any capacity teaching me or trying to teach me life lessons. I don't need that from someone like that. I just don't, and I won't. So that's where I'm at.
How I approach that too is there's a lot of film out there prior to allegations and stuff. It's like
Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando is another one, Yeah.
I mean, we talk about it with Kevin Spacey. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
We don't have time to list them all. So to me, it's been easier to kind of remove the art and the artist. I agree with you. I don't think you're wrong. It didn't affect me the same way. I was able to say, yeah, another piece of shit on this earth creating things like the Ren and Stimpy. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It goes way back. So it's like, for me, I was able to put on, because I've done this before, able to put on the glasses and look past it. And I didn't really focus on his character too much, other than when he said the erotic things. I think this barely holds up, but I think it does hold up because I think that there is some relevance. And when I look at holding up, I talk about stuff that can kind of exist over time and still be relevant to the time it's in, and especially the time we're living in. This movie's kind of relevant to what's going on.
It is.
So that's where I say it holds up, but I'm not going to say it's like a tremendous watch out there that everyone should just go rush out and see. It's not one of the better films we saw, but I think it is an interesting watch. Andrew, I know a lot of people are going to be like you, and they're not going to be able to separate Woody Allen from this. And if you can't do that, it's not going to be worth your time. It's probably going to piss you off, annoy you, or even sadden you to some extent. So that's where I stand on that. But what would you give it as an IMDb rating, Kyle?
6.2.
Okay, fair. Andrew, what about you?
Again, it's difficult if you were to remove Woody Allen, and I'm going to for this situation. And
I say if you did your hold up through Woody Allen, if you say it doesn't hold up because of Woody Allen, I say keep that in your rating and just go what your heart says.
I mean, the thing is, the point differential won't be that crazy with or without, because the product itself of the movie is not that bad. If I'm not looking at through the lens of, I can't look past Woody, then I probably give a 6.1. If I am using that sour feeling that I had after watching it, I'd probably get a 5.4 or something. Okay. So again, not a huge differential there, but yeah.
So I was going to say 6.1. That was going to be where I landed.
Okay.
So what is the actual IMDb rating? Do you know?
6.5.
Okay. So not too bad.
We were a little bit more harsh, which is understandable because we do have better taste.
Yeah. We're the experts. Everyone should listen to our ratings and what we say about these things.
That's correct.
That about wraps it up for us this week. We reached inside your childhood nostalgia, pulled out the movie Antz, and found out 2-1. It holds up. Interesting watch is all I can say. something you should check out. If any of this interests you, let us know what you think of it. Let us know what you think of Woody Allen. Leave us a comment, send us some hate mail, whatever you need. Kyle, what are we doing next week? I think we've already tipped our hat to it.
Yeah, we're going to go in the same vein with the competition and this whole story and all the lore. And we're going to hit Disney's A Bug's Life and actually see some ants that Andrew can get on board with.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I think this is going to be an interesting two-parter where we're going to look at this rivalry and who won. We'll find out, and we're the only voice that matters, so whatever we say next week, you have to go with. That's how it works. You can follow us on TikTok and Instagram to find out what is coming down the pipe, what's coming after A Bug's Life, and recommend us something. We'll watch it, we'll do it, we'll do an episode on it. And until then, we'll see you all next week for A Bug's Life.